Welcome to Day Zero Update for June 29th, 2025. I'm your host, Chris Elogi.
I'm Brandon Perkins.
And I'm Danria Victorio.
And yeah, it has been a pretty busy week of news. We got some layoffs here of games that did not do well. We got some AI bullshit going on.
Yep.
We got games being announced with some dates here in the near future and all that. And we'll check out all this here as we go. But before we do that, we'll talk about what we've been playing. And I'll kick it off here. I've been playing some Death Stranding 2. Not too much of it because I got it on Friday and just been busy with work since then. But its early hours are very reminiscent of the first games. There's a lot of the same kind of doing these quick, easy jobs before they give you some of the basic stuff that you have to use, like the crafting thing. That takes a couple jobs to get. It's a lot of that kind of stuff early on. So I'm at the I got to the third of the camp. So the way that this game starts is basically Sam Bridges is with Blue, the BB from the first game. Essentially, that's he kind of frees the BB from its little tank that it's in, and kind of lets the BB grow up. So here it's like a year or so later. Sam kind of disappears, and I guess nobody finds him until, when this game starts, where Fragile manages to find him and kind of gets him to do this new thing that's needed to do, which is to bring Mexico into the chiral network as they're dealing with some problems down there. I guess eventually gets to Australia somehow. And he is sort of given the task of doing all this and getting to the lab where one of the not Die Hardman, Guillermo del Toro's character, Deadman, I guess.
Yep, that's it.
His character is hanging out there and is dealing with some issues, and Sam's kind of the only one supposedly capable of doing it. So you're kind of tasked with this. You leave Lou behind with Fragile, who there's like a social strand network that you're going to get pictures from her of the kid every so often, which you can do the like stuff on that. You also get messages from the people whose camps or whatever that you're visiting here. That kind of stuff. Some are informational, some are just story related stuff. But yeah, you're kind of doing a similar thing as the first game. And I assume as you go, you kind of start unlocking the vehicles and whatnot, the stuff that kind of makes it easier to get around longer distances. But they do some cool stuff early on here where when you, like my first job, I don't know if this was a stage thing or not, but since it's in Mexico, it's a very kind of brown, dusty, sandy place that you're exploring. Similar fashion to the first game, it's kind of you're supposedly traveling longer distances than it actually feels like you're traveling. And so like there's a big dust storm that hits the area where I'm going. And then you have like bandit camps early on. They give you guns pretty quickly to deal with them. These aren't, murdering guns. They're ones that will knock out people to avoid any void outs. But Mexico kind of being out of the chiral network, they don't really have, facilities to properly dispose of people. So they have had a number of issues. I think one of the people's like, yeah, we just tossed bodies into the tars, the tar pits or whatever, and did that too much. So it just kind of created a ton of BTs around here. that kind of stuff. So you're kind of dealing with. At least so far, I have not run into BTs. It's been more bandit camp type stuff.
Yeah.
But you can, as you might expect, uh, make your path go around it.
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of system from the first game, or setting up your path that you're aiming to go on.
Mm.
And same kind of system of laying down things that you can get likes for and all that. But it seems like they do have stats to this game
Mm-hmm.
that I don't think was in the first one, where you kind of have natural stats that improve over time. So, like, there's carrying capacity is one that's now I'm at level 3 after a few jobs that I've done. There's some that are more combat related for sneaking up, where you basically like knock somebody out and rope them up with the strand as like your sneak move to take out enemies. Otherwise, you can shoot them with the guns that you get, or just punch them. That also works, at least for the early ones. But I have electric rods now that I can use to zap them and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. So they give you more combat stuff early on
Yeah.
with this game, which seems useful.
Yeah, that's kind of what they did with the director's cut version of the first game. They give you a bit more action oriented stuff that you can work with starting out, because the game in the original, like again, I anybody can read my review on the site. I really liked the original Death Stranding, but I'll also be the first person to tell you that it's very much kind of a slow burn starting out.
Yeah,
And it sounds like with the sequel, Kojima and his people kind of got that complaint, and so now they're actively trying to make the beginning of the game a bit more dynamic than the original was.
maybe. There's definitely more action up front
Mm-hmm.
versus just kind of wandering around these um, barren areas that playing the director's cut was like, oh, this is less dynamic than it felt because BTs just show up in the exact same areas versus it being something that initially felt like a thing that moved around a bit.
Mm.
Um, so this is kind of a bit different than that, where it seems like there's a bit more dynamic environmental stuff to it, with like that big kind of dust storm that essentially kills your ability to see around you for a good bit of time. So you're using the scanner for more things, and had like bandits that were off in one direction, that I assume couldn't see me for anything because I was not around. Um,
Mm.
but this dirt storm kind of blocked their vision, that kind of stuff. Versus going out to this other camp that they as part of the job they've stolen some packages that were supposed to be delivered to another area, and so you kind of have to knock everybody out, or you maybe don't have to knock everybody out, but the packages are around where enemies are hanging out a bunch. So it's in your best interest to do that, and so you can um, deal with that. Though I didn't realize I was supposed to take those back to the next area, so I kind of ended up going back and forth a bit
Mm-hmm.
there. And I think this is a new thing. The in like the woods area that's sort of between these two places, there was these like spiral spiders, these little weird little spider-like goobers that are all over areas that I assume have like chiral stuff or dropped items. I saw them carrying like one of those cases that has some materials in it. So I was trying to figure out a way to like walk up to them without, if you run over one of them, they start chasing you for a bit.
Mm.
So it's in your best interest to kind of take your time and walk around them or through them, whatever path kind of opens up. So I was kind of taking my time trying to see if I could pick up this item and throw it on my back to get out of there. And that kind of going through that area a few times made it pretty obvious how much they just kind of on some things in there, materials, cases, every so often. But they do make it easy to see like other people's tracks where you can kind of, if you're not sure, like a good path, one that gets kind of used a bunch ends up surfacing as like, oh, this is a path people have been using, and you can kind of follow it or take deviations from it or whatever. But kind of helps you parse kind of some of the easier paths to get around for that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've only done a few few deliveries to a few areas, so it seems like they make a bigger deal of collecting all the scattered loot around these areas to try to get to 5 stars for each area as like a thing you can do.
Yeah.
Seems like more of a thing here versus just building up your little star gauge of the different things that you do. As like your character level essentially. So yeah, this seems nice so far. I'm looking forward to playing some more of it. From what I've heard, there's some real good like rain stuff going on here, like rivers that are kind of more rapid style rivers that are really neat to kind of watch. Do their thing, and you can bind 2 ladders together, kind of get over bigger rivers and such, gaps and such that you need to get around. So they have some nice stuff, but I haven't beaten the director's cut of the first game to know what all is from that game and what's new for this game. So there's kind of that going on, but like the first game, it's still kind of just generally enjoyable to walk around and grab stuff and deliver it to the different areas and all that. So that's been another fun part of it. So there's that. The other new game I've been playing is Persona 5: The Phantom X, the gacha game that they have created that is on mobile and PC. It's on Steam as well. And it's very much kind of what if Persona 5 featured a different character. They kind of go through the same intro as Persona 5 did, where you're kind of in the middle of this heist that you're trying to run on the lights and get out. But as the new character is doing this, it's kind of glitching and showing Joker a bit. Where you're like, oh, is this how they're going to get the other characters? It's like, oh, it's some alternate universe kind of thing, and it's like maybe not. So yeah, like when you get to the end of that area, as you're about to try to leave, Joker shows up, and you kind of get into a fight a bit. This is all cutscene stuff, and then your character wakes up from this nightmare or whatever. And sort of going to school. This character doesn't have all the baggage that Joker has at the start of Persona 5. He's just kind of somebody who, what they call it, I think the menace is what they call it, this like weird disease or something that's going around, this thing that kind of kills your desire to do things, to, strive for life goals, that kind of stuff. And so you have a new like animal character that is doing things here. Character named Lufel. It's an owl. That when you go to the other side, which I forget what they call it here, but he turns into sort of an anthropomorphic owl character. Still pretty small in his general design, but they're kind of brought into because you have potential, and you kind of end up awaking your persona right away, faster than Lufel expects. So you end up kind of getting brought into this whole thing. Similarly to take down these palaces that are ruled by, whatever bad guy is for that section. And yeah, I forget what the first one is about, but yeah, you're kind of doing your thing instead of having the day-to-day thing. It's not labeled, days aren't labeled. They're just like today, tomorrow, that kind of thing. And so, yeah, everything else kind of feels Genshin Impact style, the way that you fill out your party. There's story people that will show up that will be part of your party eventually. But you also find these like phantom, what do they call phantom idols, I think, or what they call the gotcha drops. And so that whole thing ends up being when you're did a couple of them because you get a decent amount of the currency for that stuff right away, and you end up getting Persona and these Phantom Idols. So Persona are just kind of the basic drops, and the idols are kind of the special drops. And if you get dupes, that turns into a different currency that can be spent in a different part of the menu, kind of stuff. So yeah, you're leveling up, and they do a lot of leveling here through story stuff. So you hit story beats, and it's like, all right, you're level 7 now. It's like, oh, okay. I didn't have to do any fighting to get to this point. So imagine there's a lot of stuff gated behind that. So they kind of just get your character level or account level or whatever going pretty quickly. Um, and so you're just kind of dealing with a lot of that stuff. Your basic typical Persona stuff, but behind that there's live servicey elements, and yeah, a lot of the Phantom idols that they have here are from Persona 5. The Phantom Thieves are featured in a number of these things that you can redeem your currency on to get all of them in there. I think I have the nerdy girl. I forget what her name is, but like I have her and then like two others that seem like random characters, but I don't know where they might have come from. But yeah, it's kind of they managed to turn Persona into that kind of game, which is better than I would have thought it would be. All the same kind of hallmarks of the battle system, of trying to exploit the weaknesses and all that, but you then have special moves that build up over the course of the fight that you can use for like one big attack kind of thing for each of the characters. So you can fill out your party pretty quickly with all the gotcha stuff they have there versus just waiting for the story to get to that point. And yeah, so much of the dialogue is Japanese with English subtitles. Trying to think what else is here. I believe they do have another currency that's for freeloaders, essentially. It's called Pity. So that's a fun thing. I haven't run into that just yet, but I've seen people talking about that. I'm like, all right, that's a bit on the nose, but okay. So yeah, it's pretty solid for what it is, but yeah, it depends on what kind of investment you want to make in a Persona game, just buying one of the main ones or playing this one. I probably would say definitely don't spend money on this right away. Play it and see how you like it, and then figure out from there. But the game's definitely designed to play on your fandom with the characters from the Phantom Thieves and all that. And so I may play some more of this. I don't know. It's on Steam, so you can play it there and kind of see for yourself versus playing it on phone. They do have some back-end network thing that you can sign into, transfer saves back and forth between PC and mobile. But yeah, I'd prefer to play on PC, not just for battery reasons, but that's a thing you can check out if you need some more Persona. So there's that, and the last one I've been playing is more Squeakross, just enjoying that game a lot, so not really too much to say on that, but that's been pretty much it. So how about you, Brandon?
Well, as for me, I had been playing more or less, mostly been playing We Love Katamari Reroll, because I really love Katamari Damacy, and it had been a long time since I'd played We Love Katamari, and The reroll was available on PS Plus, so I was like, "What the hell? I'll give it a shot." And it was a lot of fun. But it also reminded me that it also has probably my two least favorite levels in the entire Katamari Damacy franchise. The first one is, and probably the one that pretty much every Katamari Damacy player really hates, which is the campfire level, where you have to essentially you have this Katamari that's on fire, and you're rolling it around trying to constantly roll stuff up so that eventually the fire that you have on the Katamari is big enough that you can use it to set this like bonfire in the middle of the level on fire. But the thing is, there's two things going against you. The first is you're having to constantly roll around, like rolling things up in order to keep the fire going, because if you go too long without rolling anything up, then the fire will just burn itself out and you've lost the level. And that can be very annoying because the level does try to like have enough stuff laid out that you can theoretically keep rolling stuff up to keep the fire stoked, but the problem is because of the sort of arbitrary way that the game sometimes decides if the Katamari you're rolling is big enough to start rolling up, bigger and bigger objects. There are times where you'll think that you've gotten big enough that you can start, start picking up stuff that, can keep the fire going, but in fact, you're still too small and you still have to get a couple of more things before you can get big enough for it to happen, which is annoying. The other thing that's going against you is the fact that since it's a flaming Katamari, that means you have to avoid water for very obvious reasons. Unfortunately, there are two whole sections in this level that are based around water. One of them is this sort of thin wooden bridge that extends across this river, and the other one is a dock that is sticking out over a pond. And each one of these are they're not very wide, and you have to be very careful because keep in mind, if you go up against stuff that is too large for you to roll up, it's not unusual for them to not only bounce you off, but to literally like send you careening off in the opposite direction. But I did eventually get around to doing that and finishing that level. And the other one, the one that other people also hate, is the one where you have to roll up the largest version of either a bear or a cow that you can get in this level. And this level really sucks because if you end up rolling up anything that is related to a bear or a cow, no matter what its size is, that immediately ends the level. So, if it's anything from like an itty bitty, like a little teddy bear, to something that has like a cow-like pattern, or a guy that's dressed up like a bear or a cow, and that's all very annoying in and of itself, but considering the fact that, since the whole point of Katamari Damacy is you're trying to roll up so you can get as big as you possibly can, in order to get the bigger stuff in the level, you of course have to roll up all this other stuff so you'll be big enough to roll up. So if you decide, okay, I'm going to get this like big like copper statue of a bear that I'm going to roll up, and that's going to be what I use to end the level. As long as you can do your best to avoid, anything else that's cow or bear related, you'll be fine. But the problem is, as you get bigger, the little smaller stuff gets harder and harder to look at or harder to see. So you'll be on your ways like, all right, I'm big enough, I'm going to get the statue. And then you accidentally roll over a little speck that just ends up being a teddy bear, and that ends the whole level right there. So you just wasted all that effort for nothing. But it still is a lot of fun, still very enjoyable. The Katamari formula is basically you can't spoil it, really. Other than that, I finally played and finished the second part of Lost Record, Bloom and Rage, and yeah, Danrub had his critiques that he did back when he did it, and yeah, he's pretty much right. Like, the game really does want to pack like this emotional punch to it, but because of the way the game, this game's story is like truncated into just these two parts, the kind of emotional like bonding experience and stuff that you're supposed to have with these characters doesn't really work all that well. Unlike it would have done with, Life is Strange, where, the game is spread out like all these different chapters that were, released over a period of time. It doesn't really work as well here. The game still, I do absolutely think that this game has the makings of it to be a cult classic, but just and the current state that it's in is it's a very middling experience that I think could really put it over the top if they had made some different decisions on how to put this game out there. But that's that's neither here nor there now anyway. But another game I've been playing that I got off Steam because it was cheap is called Shotgun King. But its full name is Shotgun King: The Final Checkmate, and it's actually got a very simple premise. It's a chess related game. It's like a chess roguelite, and you play the Black King. And like if you know anything about chess, you know that the kings, they can only move in one space in any general direction per turn. That's sort of the chess rules. The difference is the game is called Shotgun King because the Black King has a shotgun. And essentially how the game works is, starting out, you go through these various floors where it originally starts out with like there's there's just you by yourself, and on the other end there's the white players. So there's a white king, there's like usually like 3 or 4 white pawns, a knight, and a bishop that starts out. And your goal is to try and, basically blast the king to pieces in order to advance. And every time you advance, you then get your choice between these sort of upgrades. And there's an upgrade for you, and there's an upgrade for the enemy side. And whatever you choose is going to give you an upgrade, and it's going to give them an upgrade. So, like, for example, there will be an upgrade where you will be given, like, it'll give you additional ammunition for your shotgun, because the shotgun by itself, starting out, it's only got like I think like 7 or 8 shells in it, and once they're depleted, you have to start moving around to refill it. And on top of that, you can only shoot like twice maximum per turn before you have to start moving again. And so it'll it's like, okay, this upgrade, it'll give you more shells. It'll make your firepower stronger. It might give you like an additional weapon, like grenades or a sword that you can use to like strike nearby enemies that are like in a corner space or whatever. But at the same time, all of these upgrades also come with upgrades for the enemy side. So like the enemy might in turn end up getting like additional pieces. Like they might get another bishop, or they might get another knight, or they might have it where once you start killing pawns, one of the other pawns will end up getting promoted to a stronger piece. So like if you kill one pawn, another pawn might get upgraded to like a knight or a bishop. And then eventually, once you get to like I think it's like the 4th or 5th floor, is when the queen gets added. And anybody who knows anything about chess knows the queen is basically the strongest, the absolute strongest piece on the chessboard, because the queen can literally move on any of the cardinal points on a compass and can basically go as far as the queen wants, depending on, as long as there's nothing in her way. And that in and of itself becomes very difficult because remember, all of these upgrades, they add on to each other and they pile on very quickly. And once the queen gets thrown in, then suddenly it really becomes a challenge. Now, the other good thing is every time you end up killing one of the bigger pieces, in like a knight or a bishop or whatever, you end up getting what's called a soul card, and you can use that soul card so that you can then start moving the way that they do. So, like if you kill a knight and you get the knight soul card, you can then, if you're like getting in a point where it looks like you're about to get checkmated, you can then use the soul card, and then you can, instead of just moving, in one direction, one space, you can move, in the maneuver the way a knight does, and in a vague sort of 4-space L shape, something like that. But yeah, this game is extremely addictive, and also it is hard as balls to play. Because again, you're shooting stuff with a shotgun, but it still goes by chess rules, and all that stuff adds up eventually. And the other game I've been playing is Deus Ex: The Conspiracy, which of course is it's a console version of the classic Deus Ex game that was put out by Ion Storm way back in the day. Chris has also played it, so he kind of knows how it is. You don't play Deus Ex the way you play like a normal first-person shooter. If you try to play this game like a first-person shooter, you will get slaughtered. There's even like a whole training sequence that you can do voluntarily before starting that basically teaches you the basics of the game. And it can be surprisingly, complex if you don't realize it. That game is also a lot of fun, very enjoyable. And despite the fact that it's, like graphics wise, it's very primitive, otherwise, it's still very fun. Like, it really does hold up incredibly well, shockingly enough. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. So, Dbrand, what about you?
Yeah, I am pretty much on Switch 2 mode now. But before all that, let me just talk about some other games that I've been playing and I finished. Finally finished Expedition 33. That being said, finished really isn't the word. As soon as I got to Act 3, I just went to the boss because, I just wanted to have the credits rolled. I know that there is a lot more to do. The only relationship that I completely maxed out was CL's. And everybody else still needs to be done. The reason why I didn't do them was because, I have to travel all the way over here and probably do a long ass dungeon first. So, I don't want to. I don't want to do that right just yet. I hope I do find time to jump in because obviously, the game is getting Game of the Year credit left and right. To me, it's number 2. It could definitely get there if I decide to put more time into it. But yeah, it's just a game that I have to finish now just so I could get it out of the way. And our review is like 3 months late, so I want to be able to get that done. I also played the Dispatch demo that's on Steam right now. For those of you not familiar with Dispatch, a lot of that staff came from former Telltale and Don't Nod, and it has a lot of those vibes there. But this whole thing is completely. I don't know if it's hand animated. I'm sure that there's some computer graphics there, but it is very well done. It is reminiscent of what you'll see out of an Invincible. So basically, you play this character who used to be a superhero, but now is on a dispatch squad because he got injured or whatever it may be. So you work at an office, and everyone there is a superhero, and your job is to pretty much send other heroes to solve, fight crime, solve some issues throughout. But it's not really anything you get involved with to that point. All you're doing is dispatching, and then from there, it's just the conversations that you'll have with people at the office. I very much enjoyed the dialogue. I don't know how I feel about the actual dispatch gameplay yet. But yeah, so far, this game is definitely on the interesting side. I don't know how great it'll be once it finally comes out, but I definitely did enjoy the taste that it provided. The demo is still on Steam. It's about 30 minutes long, so I definitely recommend it to those who might be interested in it. I am also playing Ruffy and the Riverside right now. This game came out on Thursday, I believe. And work's been in the way. But so far, this game has been a little mixed for me. I played the demo when it first came out during Steam Next Fest during the spring, and I really enjoyed it so much where I stopped playing it because I didn't want to be spoiled anymore. And from what I've played so far, it's a little bit on the trickier side because, well, first of all, let me just go ahead and lay the ground for this one. This is an indie game made by a new studio, and it looks like a 3D platformer, very much in the vein of a game like Banjo-Kazooie or Super Mario 64. But the main thing here is that on top of collecting a whole bunch of things, the visuals are very Paper Mario, except that the whole thing is an open world 3D game, and on top of the platforming, you also have a lot of puzzle solving. The main pull into this game is going to be the the swap trick. So basically, Ruffy has this ability to turn various points of the environment into something else. So, for example, if you see a waterfall, you can go ahead and swap grass vines with it, and all of a sudden the waterfall is climbable. You can go ahead and switch the ocean into lava or vice versa. And all of this will have varying effects on the environment. Like, for example, when you one of the more interesting puzzles I found was there are these stone blocks sticking out of the ocean, and if you turn them into wood, they'll fall and be able to create another platform for you. So it's all these things that really make it what it is. But the game also really challenges you to think out of the box in order to get things done. There was one puzzle that I just spent the whole day on, not realizing that I had to cross from one end of the island to another. And the way I did that was there was a TV right in front of me that showed an exploding volcano. And when you copy the TV, you actually just copy the lava. So what I was supposed to do there was there are these platforms in the water that I had to turn into wood, and then after that, turn the water into lava. That way, the wooden planks will disintegrate into the lava, and then the lava turns back into water, and all of a sudden you have platforms to jump on. So that's something that I spent more than a day on. And obviously, when you're playing a game before review, there's no guides, so it's like when you're stuck, and there's no one to talk to. So it's been that difficult as of late. So yeah, this game could have been reviewed on Thursday, but I'm still working on it. So there's that. We also had an embargo a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't on the show for Marvel Cosmic Invasion. This was one of the best demos that I played during Summer Game Fest, and yeah, definitely really enjoyed it. This is from Dodemu again. They were the ones who brought us the recent Ninja Turtle game a couple of years ago. And the cool thing with this one is that you actually have to choose two characters. In the demo that we played, we had Captain America, we had Nova, Storm, Venom, Wolverine, Phyla-Vell, and Spider-Man. I used all of them. Granted, I don't know who Phyla-Vell and Nova are. I'm not really that into the Marvel mythos, but everybody who's been in the MCU, I definitely am familiar with. And I was impressed by how differently they all controlled, despite having roughly the same control scheme. Obviously with Captain America, you have the shield to throw around. You can also use it as an actual shield to block things. Spider-Man can just web sling all over the map with one of his abilities. They all have a super as well. And anyway, the reason why you want to choose two characters is because you can actually tag one in and out the same way you'd see in a tag fighting game. And along with that, they also have tandem moves that they can use. So if you're in the middle of your melee combo and then you tag in the middle of it, you can just have you can have your other partner do an assist. And yeah, for what we've played, it was two players, but there was room for 4 gauges. They wouldn't exactly confirm whether this would be a 4-player game, but if that was the case, then there can be as many as 8 characters on the screen, and that definitely can lead to a whole lot of fun. So yeah, there's no confirmed release date for this one, but it's definitely one to look out for, especially since a lot of us were really in tune with the Genesis days. So I'm really looking forward to that one. Anyway, jumping back into what we've been playing on Switch too. Of course, Mario Kart. I think I talked about unlocking Rainbow Road and that being a thing. I really enjoyed how they did that. I also put some time into the battle mode. I haven't played the battle modes in previous games since the GameCube one, so I'm not sure if, for example, the battle mode now, you can actually go against like all 20 other characters, and like that was awesome. I don't remember that ever being a thing with Mario Kart 8 or the one on a Wii, but yeah, that was definitely a fun way to do that one. So really enjoyed that. I still have some golden knockout to get. I haven't done all that yet. Obviously, we when you're first for so long and all of a sudden get hit with a bunch of blue shells, it's hard to really defend your glory there. But yeah, totally enjoying it. Again, I had this with the bundle, so 50, $60 to me, it's worth it. 80, not really to say that, not ready to say that yet. But if there's DLC coming and it's free, then I definitely see the value there. But yeah, Mario Kart World is just as fun as I hoped and thought it would be. I've also been playing Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Nintendo gave me a code for this one, so no, I did not pay for it. But I will say I'm having a lot of fun with it. If I had to choose between buying this game or buying a couple Starbucks, I'd buy this game. It's really fascinating, learning about the inner workings of the Switch 2 that I otherwise wouldn't have cared to research. Like I've learned a whole lot of things about the magnets and how they're slanted, so that you wouldn't really have to worry about them bending and things like that. Um, Learned a lot about 4K and HDR and how that really works. Like the one way it really shows you the effect of 4K was it makes you play Super Mario Brothers 1-1, and basically you're playing a really 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 small version of it, a few pixels, and as you crawl over to the right, it just continues to grow so that you can really understand how many pixels there are in that. And when you're playing on a bigger TV, it's just even harder to play. So if you thought you enjoyed Super Mario Brothers 1-1, try playing it on a much smaller scale, and it's just different there. And yeah, just the ability to explore all of the inner workings on the Switch 2 is pretty cool. The one thing that I'm not too keen on is the fact that you have to unlock every part of it. When you first start the game, you start off on the left Joy-Con, and you have to explore the whole thing. Explore all the buttons, learn about them, take some quizzes. And then it's not until you find all of the badges that you can go ahead and unlock the next thing, which is the switch to screen. And then from there you can unlock the right Joy-Con and things like that. So a lot of the mini games you can play in the game are locked onto progress. And I know that there's been some complaints about the fact that there are some mini games that are that you need the camera for and stuff like that. And I don't have those. So obviously when I get there, I'm not gonna really enjoy those too much. But if there's anything that I really recommend this for, is if you really want to play a game with mouse control. This definitely shows how cool it could be. It talks about how you can definitely use the mice on your lap if you want to, or your bed. Everywhere I've used this has been pretty comfortable. Obviously, like you have to get used to wherever you are, but I've definitely really enjoyed the mouse controls so far. And then the last game I want to talk about is Tomogachi Plaza. Um, Bandai Namco sent me a code on Friday, and yeah, it's typically it's your typical cutesy little game full of mini games. Basically, you arrive in town and you want to make the town better so that the Plaza Festival can happen there. And the way you do that is by playing mini games all around the town. And the more mini games you play, the more money you can get, and the money will allow you to really upgrade every part of town. And obviously, when you get to the point where you have enough money to afford the party, it'll happen. Not all of the mini games are winners, and the other problem with them is that they don't really do a good job explaining them. I played it a little bit with my girlfriend over the weekend, and we played a game where we have to manage a dentist, and you play the dentist. So you want to be able to not only brush their teeth and keep them clean, but you want to be able to remove cavities and all that. And it was confusing because it didn't actually tell us what to do. And when you have a girlfriend that doesn't play video games and you have to really explain things, that's where things get a little hazy. But yeah, it's aside from that, like once you actually learn things, the whole thing becomes fun. But I don't really see myself enjoying this for more than a few hours. But at the same time, I do understand why it exists. But yeah, this is a Switch exclusive, also available on the Switch 2, and I am playing the Switch 2 version. Other than that, I don't really have much to say about it. It doesn't really challenge your gaming prowess in any such a way, except for really really questioning how you'll learn things just by not showing them to you. But yeah, that's been it for me.
All right.
All right, so let's get to some news. First up, it's going to be a new month here in the next few days. So we have new PlayStation Plus Essential games for the month, and yeah, we got some interesting games here. First up for PS5 and PS4, this Diablo 4. so people can finally check that out if you have not bought it previously. Yeah, they've been
Mm-hmm.
doing a bunch of updates for that game, so
Yeah.
yeah, pretty solid one of those.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say I might still like Diablo 3 over 4, but
Mm.
um, I'll be curious to continue my save. So there's
Mm.
that. Let's see, for PS5 and PS4, King of Fighters 15.
Mm. That's one I've been wanting to play for a while.
Yeah,
Now I got a chance to do it.
I guess this also includes the classic Leona DLC costume, letting you change Leona's costume to her KOF 96 look. So there you go for a character I've definitely heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
And then for PS5, Jusant. That is a very fun game. If you have not checked it out, it's basically a rock climbing adventure game, essentially, where you're climbing up this big, tall structure that you're trying to get around to these different areas, and you're kind of picking up some story bits and learning more about the game as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of Donut's games that they made a few years ago, and probably one of their best in the last handful of years.
Yeah, as Chris mentioned, like Jusant is one of those don't nod games that isn't completely reliant on narrative choices. All you really do is climb, and from there you just like learn about the world building from there, and it's a nice short experience, about 5 hours. I didn't platinum it because there's a lot of like different things to explore, but it's definitely a good use of those 5 hours. Really recommend that one. There's also a review up on the site.
Yeah. So yeah, that's nice. Seems like it's also the 15th anniversary of PlayStation Plus, so they have some bonus things. Let's see, for premium members, there's a game trial of WWE 2K25. Also, game trial for Monster Hunter Wilds to check out.
Mm-hmm.
That's starting. Wilds on June 30th. WWE 2K25 should be available now.
Mm.
Let's see. Yeah, they got a Valorant PS Plus pack. Some
Mm-hmm.
tournament stuff they're doing. More discounts on movies on Sony Pictures Core, and they're doing an online multiplayer weekend this weekend. So by the time you're hearing this, it's probably over. So, but yeah, doing some bonus stuff here. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, pretty solid lineup for this month. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Obviously, like Jusant in particular, that is a game that everybody really should experience. It's a really it's a damn good game. It's not like a very exciting game. It's very fun and it's very engaging, but it's not a terribly action-packed game. It's mostly just you climbing what's essentially a giant tower mountain or whatever. But
Yeah, if I had to compare it to anything, I would say it's Journey with climbing, a lot of climbing.
yep, it's Journey with climbing. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. So definitely give that one a shot.
Yeah, so there you go. Some nice games there. Let's see. Yeah, Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack is getting the first new GameCube game on the Switch 2, and it is Super Mario Strikers.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of those that I've not played on the GameCube, so don't really know what to expect on this. So I'll check it out. It'll be available on July 3rd, so that'll be on Thursday to check out. So yeah, there you go. A new GameCube game to check out.
Yeah, that's definitely a big one. In my opinion, it's the best Mario Strikers in the series, and obviously like the first. And yeah, the GameCube has definitely aged well as far as visuals, so I'm pretty sure like this will be a banger as soon as it comes out. And yeah, like the reason why I really like this one is because like all of the ideas were there from the get go. Um, the latest one on Switch to me like wasn't as good because it was too reliant on the field thing, which didn't even really change gameplay all that much. And here, like what I really like about Super Mario Strikers is really the attitude that it brings. If you look at the cover, like everyone on the cover just looks like a complete asshole compared to like the way they would on Mario Party or Mario Bros, whatever it may be. Like the visual style is definitely there. It's not really triangulated in the actual visuals of the game, but you could tell that with the art style of all of the marketing art, you could tell that this is a game with attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious to check that one out. Yeah, I believe the online stuff they have will allow you to play games against other people. So as with the other ones, you have to know the other person. There's not going to be any sort of matchmaking or anything to it. So that'll be a thing to do. So there you go. And another thing, the System Shock 2 25th anniversary remaster for the consoles got delayed to the first half of July. They're saying within the first 2 weeks of July here. PC version just came out. Yeah, basically there's some. They say we have encountered issues that have prevented us from launching System Shock 2 on consoles, including Xbox, Switch, and PlayStation, on June 26th as originally intended. Currently working to address these issues as quickly as possible. Because of this, we've made the difficult decision to proceed with the game's release on PC platforms, with the console release now targeting the first 2 weeks of July. So they're going to update everyone when they have a new date. But yeah, that was one that I know Brandon was curious to check out.
Oh,
But
yeah.
now we'll have to wait a little bit.
Yeah, we will.
So yeah.
That's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, as long as they fix whatever these issues are.
Yeah, again, one of the things I'm really interested in seeing, among other things, is have they made it so that, the game is actually like easier to play? Not like easier like in difficulty, but easier in the fact that you can actually understand what the hell you're doing. Because that game, just a lot of things, like its inventory system and just a bunch of other stuff is like it has not aged well at all. Let me just put it that way. Like there's a reason why, when Irrational went on and made like BioShock and people were calling it like, yeah, this is definitely like the spiritual successor to System Shock 2. They also pointed out that it was easier to play than System Shock 2 was, and a lot more intuitive. Because yeah, the original System Shock 2, it's just it is very much, it's a game that broke a lot of barriers, but it's also a game that is still very much of its time and place.
Yeah. So yeah, that is going to be out soon enough. Next couple of weeks, so hopefully we'll see more of that. Brandon can answer the question if they've uh fixed UI issues with the game.
Yeah.
So there you go for that one. Let's see. Also coming up here in the short term, Netflix is delisting at least 20 of its games by July 15th. I believe some are ending a little bit earlier. I think Hades is ending on July 1st, although that one was only on iOS, so that's a weird one. But yeah, as of July 15th, 21 other games will be leaving as well. So this is like Parade Anniversary Edition, Death's Door, Ghost Detective, Katana Zero, the Monument Valley games, the Case of the Golden Idol, the Rise of the Golden Idol, as well as a handful of other things. These are the games they would have on the mobile storefronts on iOS and Android. If you had a subscription, you could check them out and play them without ads or any sort of monetization stuff in them for that. So yeah, this is a good chunk of their library. I guess they have 114 total right now, so they are sort of letting some of these expire. Maybe they'll get reworked into games that have show up on the actual app stores. Maybe not, considering they don't have any real monetization stuff to them otherwise, but it would probably be nice for the people that enjoyed those and would certainly like to own them and play them on their phones. But yeah, there you go. Sort of Netflix letting some of their games library on the mobile front expire.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there you go.
Mm.
Let's see, we got some more stuff happening here. Abiotic Factor will be hitting 1.0 on July 22nd on PC, and will be releasing on PS5 and Xbox Series X and S on the same day. It'll launch onto PlayStation Plus Extra and Game Pass Ultimate, so that's one that people can check out. It'll have cross-play between all platforms, so you can play with friends and all that, and check that out. Yeah, it's kind of one of those survival crafting co-op kind of games, but set in a location that's very similar to like Half-Life's world, essentially like the underground science lab kind of area. I assume there's more places to go, but yeah, a lot of paranormal alien type stuff going on, and all that. So yeah, that seems neat. I'm curious to check it out, but yeah, that'll be fun to see how it does on consoles.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. July 22nd. And then let's see, we got some August dates here. Chained Echoes has an expansion called Ashes of Elrond, coming to all the consoles and PC on August 7th. So yeah, it takes place on the new landmass Elrond. Yeah, occurs right before the final battle of the base game. So there's a new playable character, the White Wolf, that joins the crew. New equipment, items, new mini games, 40 new monsters you'll battle, with 15 new music tracks by the composer.
Mm-hmm.
So that sounds neat. So yeah, that'll be not too long away for people that enjoyed Chained Echoes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the original Chained Echoes, that game is amazing. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised that it kind of, I don't want to say it kind of faded away, because it it's still a great game, but it didn't really catch on the way I hoped it did. But fortunately, they did decide to make the DLC, so.
Yeah, Chained Echoes is a game that I've always wanted to dive into. I have two separate versions. I've started them. I just never really had a chance to finish them, and it's not because it wasn't interesting. It was just because other things, came into play. I don't know whether this one, or I don't remember whether this one came before or after Sea of Stars, but that one stole the show, and that might be a reason why. But
Probably.
yeah, I don't know if this is a DLC that's comparable to like Throws of the Watchmaker or whatever it's called for Sea of Stars, but that's also another thing that I want to get back into. So
Yeah. This came out 2022, right at the end of the year, December 8th. So yeah.
That's one way. Yeah. December is not a good time to release.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one to check out. Let's see. Then also in August, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 Enhanced will be out on PS5 on August 12th. Yeah, there'll be a big update for the Xbox and PC versions as well. Let's see. It'll add a 60 frames per second performance mode. That'll be usable on Series X and PC. Series S will not have that available. Enhanced photo mode, developer commentary, and the return of the Dark Rot challenge mode from the first Hellblade. Alongside this, they are doing a remaster of the original Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. That will come with the deluxe edition, but if you have the PS4 version, it'll be free upgrade for that. So yeah, the standard edition will be $49.99 on PS5, and the deluxe edition is $69.99.
Yeah.
I really like that first game. The second one was still good, but I did not play it for too long. It just kind of ran its course for me. And I feel like most people, as much as people were expecting that to be a big deal, it just kind of came and went.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for the remaster of the first game more so than the game itself sequel, because that's one that PlayStation players were denied when they were originally doing remasters on the Xbox Series X and S, because Microsoft then did not give a damn about supporting their games on other platforms. Um,
Mm.
They made a VR update for the PC version that never got added to the PS4 version. For PSVR support, this still doesn't have any sort of PSVR 2 support in it. It's just going to be strictly a 2D TV version. So that's a shame, but otherwise, it's nice to finally get a remaster like three or 4 years later than Xbox got it. So
Mm-hmm.
there you go. But yeah, that'll be out in about a month and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna guess that it's not gonna exactly do huge numbers on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an example of a game that just took way too long to come out, and once it
Mm.
did, I'm not gonna say it was bad. I actually really enjoyed that game, and it's probably I'm gonna call it like the best looking Xbox game I ever played. So it coming to PS5 is definitely something. But yeah, it was just like too big for its own good, despite being so short. I don't know. It's hard to explain with it, but that was a game that I played on PS4 first. So hopefully, those who played it then and then didn't play it on Xbox definitely enjoy it this time.
Yeah, so there you go. You got two games coming out on August 12th. Let's see. Nintendo announced a new thing, or announced a date for Dragon Drive. That's weird little like wheelchair basketball game that they don't want to call wheelchair basketball, even though it's basically that. So there might be some rights to that name because there's an actual sport for that might own that term, but it's the game they showed off in the big Switch 2 reveal that uses both Joy Cons together as mouse control, kind of thing in an interesting way. So you're kind of swiping with them like you're grabbing on the sides of the wheels on a wheelchair kind of thing. Um, Playing basketball, you're taking shots or going up the ramp to do dunks and such. That looks neat. That'll be out August 14th. I believe it'll be $19.99, so a $20 game, a bit cheaper than the typical Nintendo game. I'm curious to see how this one turns out. I don't think I'm gonna grab it right away, but that could be neat.
Yeah, it's definitely a game that I want to try. I've always loved the intuitiveness of like the controls and whatever it may be. I've heard a lot from people that have played it saying that the game is incredibly tiring, which is interesting because Nintendo loves to talk about the healthy aspects of their games, and this is not one part of their marketing. So
Yeah, it's there's really no games that use two mice on a PC. It's always just
Yeah.
mouse and keyboard, and so them kind of designing it this way is interesting. But people typically only have the the sort of um, muscle memory for one hand using a mouse. So that'll be interesting to see how people take to this.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. That's our last of our dates for the summer. We do have one coming out in October. Little Nightmares 3 got a date. That'll be out in October. Um, that is looking pretty interesting. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch 2, Switch 1, and PC. Yeah, they're doing pre-orders, $40 for it. There's an extra pre-order bonus that they are doing a remaster of the first game, which doesn't seem like it's a huge overhaul. It seems like 4K, 60 frames per second, some better like texture stuff, but nothing really too big of a change there. You
Mm-hmm.
can, I believe it's going to be a free upgrade when the game comes out on October 10th. But if you pre-order, you get access to that remaster right away. Is a very weird pre-order bonus kind of thing. Typically, I would have
Mm-hmm.
made this available, the remaster right now, so people get excited for the sequel in a few months. But they seem to not want to do that, which is a little bit surprising. But
Yeah.
yeah, there you go.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I've never played any of these games, and they definitely look fascinating. So yeah, I definitely want to give it a try. And the remaster of the first game definitely feels like a solid place to pick up, even though it probably isn't really necessary. But yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. Let's see. That's it for the dates that I have here. Um, yeah, Sony had some PSVR 2 game stuff getting shown off, and this was the most interesting one I saw. Hotel Infinity was announced for PSVR 2 and Quest 3 for later this year. This is from the developer of Manifold Garden, which was a
Hmm.
really interesting sort of indie puzzle game of sorts, which kind of was built on recursive. I don't know about recursive design, but very much you had this big building that you were exploring,
Mm.
but also could jump out and land on a version of that building from the top and like explore the roof and other areas on it, that kind of stuff. But this one is very much kind of has a feel of like a puzzle adventure escape room kind of thing. And the way they describe it is pretty neat. The way they have, yeah, they say explore massive environments without ever leaving a 2 meter by 2 meter space. Clever tricks allow players to fully navigate the hotel without the use of controller-based locomotion or teleporting, which is a neat trick if they pull it off. And I watched the trailer for this, and I don't know if this is the trick that they're doing, but they have a lot of like doors you like door frames that you open up, and if you look in, it's showing a different area in there than what's actually behind the door frame. So I wonder if there's a lot of that kind of teleporting versus creating um, like a portal style thing that you pull yourself into, or shooting a cursor around the area and kind of leaping over there. Essentially, they seem to have a lot more physical use of the environment in interesting ways, and they have elevators and all that kind of stuff to get up to other floors and all that. So it looks really neat. Especially a lot of like collecting keys and solving puzzles and all that kind of stuff that looks really interesting. So this one I'm very interested in seeing how it progresses, and his developer's done a lot of good work. So I'm curious to see how that it turns out. So yeah, there you go. That'll be out later this year
Hmm.
for that. So I think that's it for the new game stuff. We got some other things here. Mario Kart World is a
Yeah.
game that people have enjoyed a lot.
Yep.
But one of its biggest issues people have in multiplayer or
Yeah.
local play is that doing any sort of Grand Prix type stuff, you just generally don't have easy ability to just play 3 lap races.
Yeah.
Um, and in multiplayer, people figured out, I believe, between races, it basically gives you 3 options to vote on, or random, and random would always give you a another 3 lap race. And so Nintendo saw people having fun with that and said, no, 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 we need to stop this. So basically, what they did is they updated it to add more of the non 3 lap races to the random, so that you have less of a chance of getting the thing that you want, that many players have been wanting in the multiplayer, and made that a little less
Mm.
interesting for people. People very much have been not enjoying that they've essentially rained on people's fun here. So
Mm.
yeah, that's how Mario Kart World's going right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that game still sounds like a lot of fun. It at the same time though, it does sound like there's more that could be added to the game than there is in it already. especially when it comes to the free roam stuff.
Yeah, so online isn't something that I've messed with yet. So when I saw this, I didn't really know what they were complaining about, and then when I looked even deeper into it, I was like, oh, I mean, you guys were just like trying to game the system, and like, yeah, like I get that, you know, it's another Nintendo change that it seems like a lot of people didn't like, but at the same time, this was marketed as an open world racing game, so I'm not saying like Nintendo was right to do this, but at the same time, it's like I don't know, like maybe give it a few, like give it some time the way it was originally meant, and if people really hate it, you know, they can go back, I guess. But I don't know.
Yeah. Um, it's definitely been fun to kind of see how they are making some immediate changes on this stuff. I definitely feel like there should be uh,
Mm.
a mode for this on multiplayer,
Mm.
just like a pure 3 lap race mode kind of thing, but it doesn't seem to want that right now. Maybe not until they start adding paid content or something to the game,
Mm.
but for now, this is their reaction to people having fun in their game. So yeah, there you
Mm.
go. Next up here, the developer of A Short Hike. Before that, was working on a game that they called Untitled Paper RPG. Was very much, I think he described it perfectly as he saw Paper Mario Color Splash when that was announced for the Wii U, and started working on the more RPG uh, root style of that game on his own. And kind of hit a snag working on it. Kind of couldn't figure out the what he needed to do to kind of get over that hump, and ended up working on A Short Hike instead, and that did very well for him. Saying here, after releasing A Short Hike and working on the subsequent updates and ports, I didn't really want to go back to this game. The development for the RPG had become difficult, which was why I took a break from it in the first place. I might return to this project someday, but I've been working on other things, and I don't see myself making time for this RPG in the near future. He said, like, the scope of the game, which included a mechanic to recruit most of the monsters you face, had gotten to be a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
In the battle system overall, he felt like he was almost making 2 games instead of one. Plus, he didn't really have a story for the RPG and was worried battles felt monotonous compared to the strategizing of an Into the Breach or Slay the Spire. I wanted to get it to a point where combat felt strategic and puzzly, but I got the sense that battles just felt like an annoying obstacle to players interested in exploring. And so, kind of sensing this, like, I don't think I'm going to finish this game or come back to it, decided to take the playable part of the game. It's like an hour or two of content, and turn it into a demo of sorts that he has on his itch page. You can check out. So yeah, there's a short hike that he made, and his other like semi-popular game is a game called Pumpkin Carver, which is kind of an MMO that uh, people just carve pumpkins and plant them in these environments with other people, and people, look at them, enjoy the designs, and I think you might get to vote on your favorites and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's kind of one of those kind of like cute little community games. But yeah, this is another one that's decided he's not going to finish, and decided that going to make it a demo that people can try out and see like what he had made, and maybe enjoy what's there. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a nice little thing to see. But yeah, you can check that out and see how that went.
Yeah, I mean, this is totally fine. I don't really see this like becoming controversial unless people spent money or if it was kickstarted, and I don't think that was the case. But yeah, it's good that he made the demo available to see what it could have been, how it could have improved. But yeah, he never shut the door on it, so that's definitely a good thing. And if he wants to come back, he can. But sometimes game development is hard, and he found his niche with a short hike, and maybe whatever comes up next will use a lot of the same ideas from a lot of his other stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta look at this. I gotta look at this demo because it looks.
I remember seeing like some videos of what Clair Obscur used to be, and
Mm-hmm.
like Yeah, it was complete ass. So like looking at it
Oh
now,
yeah,
it's amazing. Like what just some money or some more ideas can do. Because eventually, I don't think it was supposed to be so rooted into French lore.
yeah,
But yeah, it eventually like grew into what it is now, and it's amazing.
yeah. Well, keep in mind that game was also in development for like 6 years, so
Yeah,
you
but
know,
at the same time, like there's a lot of games that have been developed for longer and are ass. So
yeah. So that is true. But yeah, I gotta look at this demo when I get a chance because it actually looks pretty interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one. I've got our AI block here, improving that bullying works. Jurassic World Evolution 3, the developers, Frontier Developments, have announced they are removing the AI generated avatar art after fans let them know what they thought. And yeah, so as I said, bullying works. When it's pretty simple stuff like this, um, it's a pretty easy fix to just have one of the artists work on that stuff
Hmm.
versus just using AI to generate what seems like a fairly small amount of content for that
Mm.
game. So yeah, it is good to see here. They came to their senses, and yeah, hopefully there's not more of that. There's already some stuff brewing around the altars. We'll see how
Hmm.
that ends up going, but yeah, there's some good news there. And for bad news, everybody's golf hotshots is using AI for its trees and leaves. From what they have said here on the Steam page, AI tools were used to make some of the in-game art, which specifically, yeah, some game textures were created using generative AI with supervision and revision by the developers. Particularly the tree and leaf textures across the game's 10 golf courses were made with AI generated images. And I believe this is a particular thing that there is middleware for, like SpeedTree is a tool that's been around for quite a while. I assume would have plenty of customization stuff here for whatever you need out of it, but they're there at Bandai Namco making this game
Hmm.
decided this was the best route for things that you will very rarely actually pay attention to unless you hit the ball next to these trees. So yeah, that's a thing that's kind of causing a bit more strife with this game, other than the it not being made by Clap Hans, the traditional developer for the series, who's working on their own golf games now, and it just looks different than the rest of the games in the series, and yeah, just kind of developing a reputation as like I don't know this is going to be even look as good as previous games, and that's a hell of an accomplishment for a series that hasn't had a new entry since the PS4. And this will be on the PS5, Switch, and PC. Is there a date on this one? I think it's in September, but yeah, that's a bummer. There you go.
Hmm.
Let's get to another thing that people have been having an issue with: Switch 2 cases,
Hmm.
particularly from these like aftermarket companies like Dbrand,
Hmm.
uh, which I believe designed this stuff based on the leaked like scans of the Switch 2 that went around. That ended up with one of the accessory companies literally 3D printing their own version of the Switch 2 for people to look at CES, which got them
Mm.
in legal trouble with Nintendo. Um, but Dbrand is one of those companies that, let's say their online, community persona is very much edge lordy. Um, and so people started noticing when they got their cases that it was pretty easy when just holding it normally if you picked it up, by the side with one of the Joy Cons, that it could just fall off. The rest of the Switch 2 could just fall off pretty easily without much twisting or anything, not even having to hit the release button for the magnet stuff, because it seems like there is some just enough plastic there in between the Joy-Con and the tablet part of it that causes this magnetic suction to not be as strong as it should be. So fans in their Reddits brought up this issue a number of times, and posted the videos of them like grabbing these Switch 2s by the Joy-Con and seeing it pop out. So much Dbrand responded. Let's see here. What's their specific quote? Okay, yeah. They basically said, they claim all three of the following criteria need to be met for the kill switch case to fail. One, you're specifically holding onto the console only from the Joy-Cons in such a way that your fingers are making no supportive contact with the main console. And two, you are holding the Switch 2 with only one hand. And three, your Switch 2 is held more parallel to the ground than not. And basically blaming people for for these issues. Like, you're using this like nobody ever uses or holds the Switch 2, which is like, one, you don't have kids, and two, you're not just grabbing it like a lot of people might from the side of the device as they're doing things. They also got a lot of people responding to this, being like, no, this is not all that bad of a way to hold this thing, showing off, people on YouTube, big YouTubers sort of doing this, even Jimmy Fallon on the Tonight Show, who was holding a Switch 2 like that. And so Dbrand sort of pushed back further, saying that it's only a small number of the 100,000 kill switch cases its manufacturer exhibiting real problems. Its position is that while people who want to make their Switch 2 fall off while using the case can, most won't experience that under normal usage. For those that do, Dbrand is changing the variants inside the Joy-Con case lip to filter out overly big ones during the manufacturing process, starting with July shipments. Responding here, for those that ever see their order and are having issues that they believe fall within regular use, we're fucking sorry. Writing on Reddit. Just with the tone, it's like, yeah, you guys are just being ungrateful little shits. And so people wrote back saying, like, people bought a case to protect damage for their expensive product, but also expected to use it as the original console design intended, and there's a point where you need to drop the act, start acting like adults, not children behind a keyboard. To see the company not only blame the consumer, but also refuse to retool their clearly defective product and have the gall to ask dissatisfied customers to not use the product and pay expensive return shipping rates to a completely different country in order to get a refund, erodes the trust Dbrand has gained from its community. That's a real bad way to respond to people's issues in a community like this. But yeah, since they started making these kind of comments, then they have now pulled a 180 and are promising upgraded Joy-Con grips to all customers at no extra cost. Saying, after reading through your feedback, it's quite clear that our post was a spectacularly terrible response to the issue at hand. Some of you have expressed that opinion in a perfectly reasonable way. Others have expressed it with literal death threats, which, death threats are not okay in any case, but everybody else making their voices heard. And so, now they're exploring a new design that would fundamentally solve the Joy-Con detachment issue. Then with this design, everything will remain securely attached, even under the stress of shaking your Joy-Con like a maniac, one-handed with no additional support on the body of the console. Effectively, it would perform like a stock NS2. That's good to see that they're fixing it and, trying to make amends for the bad PR here. Hopefully that ends up working out for people. And a lesson to not treat your customers like this.
Seriously, that is just, Yeah, somebody needs therapy, is what that sounded like.
Yeah. It very much just seems like, oh, these are internet jerks that decided
Yeah.
to run a company where they're essentially just 3D printing stuff that's, isn't readily available on the market.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they make like uh, fins for the PS5, things like that, cases for the Switch 2. A lot of stuff where they can, for the cost that it requires, makes fairly cheap products that they could sell with some markup there and make a decent amount of profit without having to have big manufacturing costs and all that. So that's one that they probably shouldn't be trying to screw their audience on, especially when they're making stuff before the average person can get real feedback on. It's not like they had Switch 2s ahead of launch for this stuff, but they're selling it early and have to deal with the potential consequences for that kind of stuff. So yeah, there you go.
Mm.
But yeah, let's get to some good news here.
Yep.
The ZeniMax Workers United (CWA) union has voted to ratify their first union contract. Let's see. Yeah, it's going to help usher in substantial across-the-board wage increases and new minimum salaries for employees. Agreement also includes protections against arbitrary dismissal, grievance procedures, AI provisions, and accrediting policy that will ensure AI workers are recognized, or QA workers are recognized. It covers 300 quality assurance Microsoft workers represented by the CWA
Mm-hmm.
in Maryland and Texas. So yeah, that's great news, especially as they were having troubles earlier this year getting Microsoft to the table at all. So it's good to see that they have a contract and are able to get back to work.
Mm-hmm. We have been saying, well, I've been saying that the momentum has been on the side of labor right now, and this is just another good sign that the unionization of the gaming industry is continuing along at a pretty good clip now. So, I hope that this is just another sign that it's going to keep spreading.
Yeah. Though unfortunately, we have some potential bad news. It is being reported that Microsoft seems like it's going to be the next big company to do layoffs. Potentially going to announce that sometime this week coming up. I guess before the 4th of July, which is a hell of a time to start announcing layoffs, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, seems like people within Xbox are expecting substantial cuts to be made across the division.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd have no idea how many that could be, but based on previous ones, they could certainly cut a lot of people. They had 1,900 at the beginning of 2024,
Mm-hmm.
which was a ton. They also had, I think, a good 600 more later on that year, so they ended up with about like 2,500 layoffs total for that
Mm-hmm.
year.
Yep.
And that was a lot. They also shut down Arcane Austin,
Mm-hmm.
Alpha Dog Games, and Tango Gameworks. The latter of which who ended up being purchased by Krafton. Kind of got most of the workers back to work on some games there, so that's cool. But yeah, that's looking like it's going to be a brutal month for at least people that work at Xbox. So we'll see how that turns out for them next week when we do the next show.
Yeah, as we always say, it's never fun to talk about any of this stuff. Don't really want to look for any bright side either. But at the same time, it's looking like, and I'm not saying I know anything. It's looking like these are mostly going to be because of, obviously there's been nobody more aggressive with the takeovers than Microsoft has, and when you do that, especially when you acquire huge companies like Activision and Blizzard, Bethesda to name a few, you're going to acquire a lot of people who are, that are actually redundant, and unfortunately, you can't keep them all employed, and that's the way that goes sometimes. But yeah, hopefully, the creatives are solid, but yeah, it's never it's never good news to talk about this, and hopefully they're able to at least enjoy this holiday coming up.
Yeah. We do have some layoffs that have happened, mostly at the fault of the management here. Splitgate 2 developer 1047 Games has announced layoffs.
Hmm.
Let's see. They said they were redirecting resources to build the best game for our players. At least the co-founders, Ian Prox and Nicholas Bagamian, have opted to not take salaries as it works on the next phase of the project, which I assume is because those guys are wealthy, without anything, coming from their salaries, so they don't necessarily need it. But at least that's a sacrifice that shows the people that they're accepting some consequences for this. Yeah, I don't think there's any numbers here for how many people, but yeah, people were announcing on their social media and whatnot that they were being let go. Yeah, some producers, designers, 3D artists. So yeah, that game has not been doing super well of late, and unsurprisingly, going for that publicity stunt at Summer Game Fest did not bring a ton of new people in. Kind of keep everybody's jobs safe. So yeah, that kind of leads to unfortunate stuff like this.
Yeah, obviously the timing is rough with what happened at Summer Game Fest. But yeah, this was a company that was uh, hiring rather assertively as the layoffs were happening at their height, maybe a little over a year ago. And a lot of the people who were let go, at least according to my LinkedIn feed, were people who have been with the company for a while, going back to Splitgate 1. And obviously, Splitgate 1 was a huge flash in the pan, especially like during the pandemic. And they were hoping to capitalize off a lot of that with the announcement of Splitgate 2. And as I've said before, like the game is good. It can be really promising as we move forward. But at the same time, it is extremely competitive in the live service market right now. And while they've been making a lot of good moves as far as being um, transparent with some of the microtransactions and a lot of the mistakes happening in the studio. At the end of the day, it's got to be a product that makes money and can afford their talent. So, and unfortunately, right now they can't. Hopefully, these people land on their feet. But yeah, again, sucks to see.
Yeah. Our next one here involves Build a Rocket Boy, the developers of Mind's Eye. After that game, I assume, has had a terrible launch as far as sales are concerned. They have, quote unquote, had to make the painful decision to lay off staff.
Yeah.
It has, done very poorly. It seems like it was a game that probably should not have been launched at the point that it did.
Yeah, it absolutely shouldn't have. The game was it's one of those games where it was very ambitious for what it was. But it promised more than it could actually give. It tried to present itself as sort of this open world type game, but it's actually like very linear, and the actual gameplay is like very bland and not doesn't have a whole lot of variety to it. It's mostly it's a cover shooter with some brief vehicle segments, and that's about it.
Yeah, and it seems like because they're in the UK, they have the redundancy stuff where you have to announce ahead of time that you're going to be looking to lay people off, to potentially either find other positions for them or give them time to potentially find new work elsewhere. And have said that over 100 developers at the studio would be potentially getting laid off. So we don't know the final number for that just yet. But yeah, I imagine most, not all of these people also recognize that this game was not releasing in the state that they were hoping to. From what I've read, a number of the people that sort of signed on this game in the last year or so, a lot of them came from like Codemasters and maybe Rockstar and some other studios in and around the UK. So that's unfortunate, especially for like Codemasters, where They probably got laid off, came to this studio hoping for some stability, only to find them in the middle of a shit show, and then getting laid off again in fairly quick order. And yeah, just completely the fault of management not really taking the state of the game seriously and thinking they could just push through and sell big, even though literally nobody really had any expectations of this game ahead of launch. Nobody was really anticipating it, other than people paying attention to this studio. But there was no real marketing campaign or anything that would have made uh, rushing this look like a good move at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've essentially burnt a lot of money, and the managers of the studio just end up being the only ones that really get out of this without too much of an issue. Because I know the Leslie Benzies, one of the heads of the studio. Um, the salary numbers for him are public, as part of this. I think it's a public company, but he was getting paid basically at least £1 million pounds a year while working on this game for the last few years, and it's like, boy, that's a lot of money to go to you for what seems like not much that's come out of it. But yeah, that's unfortunate, and I don't know that this game is gonna have what it takes to any sort of turnaround. There's laying off tons of people is gonna obviously affect that, and I imagine they're gonna just wipe their hands of it. Fix little things they can, but it's kind of what it is. So yeah, that's one of the more interesting releases of the year, but not for any good reason. So there you go. But yeah, we'll end here on a good note. Arc System Works had a showcase, mainly to talk about non-fighting game things. Which seems like a focus that they're having here a little more on than usual. Yeah, let's see what they talked about here. They talked about a game called Dear Me, I Was. Dear Me, comma, I Was. It's a textless interactive adventure game that's exclusive to the Switch 2, coming out this summer. Featuring the art director of Another Code Recollection. So it has a really nice looking art style to it. So yeah, that's an interesting one. They talk more about Double Dragon Revive, which is their 2.5D Double Dragon game that they showed off a bunch of gameplay stuff here about it. If you pre-order the game, let's see, you get access to a smaller retro-style game called Double Dragon Dodgeball. Double Dragon Revive will be out October 23rd. So there's one. Then they announced Demon's Night Fever. This is, let's see what this game looks like. There's no real gameplay here. It features a boy named Kyoshir, a dull boy who hates the world. He teams up with an evil god who lost his powers, takes the form of an adorable cat to steal, abduct, and terminate. So that looks neat. I guess they call it speedrunning simulation RPG. Which I don't know what that means, but okay. So that'll be out next year. That looks neat. That's when they're publishing for that. They're working on a new Bubble Bobble game, Bubble Bobble Sugar Dungeons. It's a side-scrolling platformer. We're using all the bubble stuff. You're collecting treasure to trade for new skills and items, which help you reach deeper dungeons. So that's neat. Like a bit of a dungeon crawler version of Bubble Bobble, which could be a neat idea. That'll be out this winter on PS5, Switch, and PC. And as part of promoting this showcase, they did a funny thing saying, like, we got the new game from Guilty Gear creator Daisuke Ishiwatari. People are like, oh yeah, we're getting a new fighting game and all that. And no. This is part of their new initiative to create smaller mid-range games outside of the fighting game genre that they're known for, and it's a game called Damon and Baby. You play as the Demon King, who's cursed with the inability to separate himself from a human child, who rides atop his back. Yeah, like sits in a little like whatever shoulder seat kind of thing. He embarks on a journey to break his curse in an isometric action game. Yeah, that looks like a nice and silly kind of game. That has a bit of like shmup stuff going on here. There's some looks like sequences where you're on run around shooting enemies and such, but you have this baby hanging out with you and all that. Yeah, boss fights, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, no release window or platforms for this yet, but that seems neat. That is something different from the usual fare we've seen out of Arc System Works. So yeah, that looks neat, and they got some interesting stuff coming out here.
And that's on top of all the fighting game stuff they're doing too.
Yeah,
including that really promising, Marvel fighter.
Yeah, like that being said, like I can definitely see people who are looking forward to seeing that being a little disappointed. But at the same time, I did not see this, but I'm actually like really impressed by this lineup, and that's like more than I can say about Capcom Spotlight last week, because they just showed a bunch of stuff that we already knew, and I'm like, okay, cool. We didn't really need this. Whereas Arc System Works, like aside from Double Dragon, I didn't actually know they did anything except fighting games. So getting to see games like Dear Me, I Was, and Bubble Bobble is definitely a pretty cool thing, and I definitely want to get my hands on these. So.
Yeah. Arc System Works is kind of just a very fun company. And I'm trying to check out what all they've worked on. Because yeah, Guilty Gear and BlazBlue have been majority of what they've done here. But yeah, I guess they technically worked on like the original Double Dragon or the Master System version of it. Bunch of stuff for Sega like Scramble Spirits, Battle Outrun, Vigilante, Ghouls and Ghosts for the Master System. They did a lot of ports there. They made Final Lap for the Famicom, Rolling Thunder. Oh, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker for the Master System. So, yeah, they've worked on a bunch of stuff over the years. But I guess in '98's when they made Guilty Gear and kind of made their first big public game, I guess, that they would be known for. And kind of gone from there. But otherwise, they've done a lot of ports over the years. A lot of interesting stuff. They made, Dragon Ball Z Supersonic Warriors for the GBA. Battle Fantasia, that little RPG fighting game thing that's neat. They've done a lot of different things. They made a bunch of Wii Shop games, the family games there.
Yep.
Family Table Tennis, Family Glide Hockey, Family Pirate Party. Things you do.
Yeah.
So yeah, they done a variety of things. But yeah, that's gonna do it. Pretty fun showcase. Pretty good slate of news. But thank you to Brandon and Dana for joining this week.
Yeah, always.
No worries.
We'll be back next week with a new slate of news and things to talk about, especially after the 4th of July. That is happening on a Friday this year, so everybody can enjoy that and then have a weekend to do other things. And probably see how many fireworks people have left over. Unfortunately. I'm surprised I haven't been hearing much in the way of fireworks.
Yeah.
This weekend. But yeah, that's gonna do it. If you enjoy the show, for let friends and family know, they should check it out. And select strangers that are also tired of fireworks.
Yeah.
They explode, looks nice, and that's about it.
They piss off dogs.
Yeah. So yeah, that's gonna do it. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you have a good week ahead. We will see you all next time. Have a good one.
Bye.